Good afternoon. I'm Ann Merrill, principal of Gordon Brothers Group in Boston, Massachusetts, and I've been a corporate advisory board member for the last 4 years. It's my pleasure this afternoon to introduce you to Barbara Turf, Chief Executive Officer and President of Crate & Barrel, headquartered in Northbrook, Illinois. Crate & Barrel, the multi-channeled housewares retailer, was founded in 1962 by Gordon and Carol Siegel, with 1 employee and no cash register. Imagine the inspiration and the innovation to take a renovated space in an elevator factory and grow it into one of the most successful home store chains for furniture, home decor, gifts, housewares, and registry items. Imagine the inspiration and the innovation when one retail visionary passed the torch of his life's work to another retail visionary who shared his passion for global influences and distinctive merchandising and marketing. Barbara Turf joined the Siegels in the summer of 1968. It was during her break from teaching grammar school. It was a part-time summer job, or was it? In May of 2008, some 40 years later, Gordon Siegel named Ms. Turf as his Chief Executive Officer of Crate & Barrel. Her success over the decades stems from her strong consumer connection, her passion for shopping, and her eagle eye for good deals and great value. Barbara's strong connection with the Crate & Barrel associates also attributes to her success. She's approachable and humble, with what many describe as a personable management style. She stayed true to the company's legacy motto, stay humble and stay nervous. Perhaps nervous really meant nimble. Ms. Turf has certainly stayed nimble as she oversees all operations for over 170 stores and over 8,700 employees. She also directs Crate & Barrel's long-term strategies, which include international business development. For Crate & Barrel, it's CB2, the Land of Nod, and crateandbarrel.com divisions. Barbara Turf may have expected to leave her full-time teaching career back in the summer of 1968, but clearly she continues to teach about innovation, decision-making, and the exploration of new initiatives. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct pleasure and privilege to introduce one of retail's most influential and innovative leaders, Ms. Barbara Turf.
Thank you, my dear. Thank you, thank you. Good afternoon. It's nice to be here with all of you. This is my first conference. I shouldn't say that, but it is. And I'm just so excited about it because it's much more than I expected. I really was pulled here because I'm a former teacher, and I really wanted to stress the educational program that was going on. And I'm so happy that Terry said that I could poach some of his interns. So anyway, so you interns, I'm going to look for you with my business card in a little while. I think that for me, it's so exciting to be part of something like the retail industry because, as speakers before have said, it's one of the most exciting industries that you can possibly join. Before I talk about how we think about innovation, I thought I'd give you a short primer on our company. We consist of 3 brands: Crate & Barrel, CB2, and Land of Nod. Let's talk about Crate & Barrel and how it started. It's in its 49th year, and yes, I started 40 years ago. I was 9. This is an original picture of the old store at 1510 North Wells, and I find it really interesting that we've come such a long way in our architect and display of the logo and everything that goes with it, but this is the original one. And I always am proud to say that we've done this 49 years without celebrities, but we did have one celebrity in our history, and that was Harrison Ford. And Gordon, our founder, fired him. Funny, very funny. Let's talk about Crate & Barrel and its passion and my passion, and it's really about passion for people, product, and presentation. And as Martha had said earlier today, it's all about the product. Mike said it too. Absolutely, it's still about the product. We started with a houseware and tabletop store, standalone stores that were about 7,500 square feet, and evolved furniture later. And how we did that was, it was a family business store, a furniture store in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and Gordon's brother-in-law owned it, called the Upper Story. And we merged the two and started our first venture into furniture, so it became a home furnishing store. Now, my vision has been these last 3 years, because they were always two divisions, housewares and furniture. And so if you see misnomers on the number of stores, that has to do with it. Some count the stores as one houseware, one furniture, and some count it as one together now. But it is one unit together, and we call it the home furnishings business. And my vision is to be one of the top 3 global home furnishings company in the world. And I think we're well on our way to getting there, I hope. CB2 was created to replicate what we had done for the emerging generations in the 60s and 70s, and for today's millennial generation. It's affordable, modern, and it has an urban twist. It's our fastest growing brand, with millions of e-commerce and catalog customers and new stores being added all the time. Let's talk about Land & Nod, really a cute little business. We bought that 10 years ago, and there was a big internal discussion about, should it be Crate & Barrel Kids, or should we buy a different brand? We felt that it was, two young founders, that it was a very unique brand unto itself, Land & Nod. It had the whimsical, romantic, and yet it fit nicely with Crate & Barrel. So we decided to have it separate and not do the Crate & Barrel Kids, because at the time everybody was doing Neiman's Kids, Bombay Kids, whatever. So we decided that we would do something more unique. And that's what happened with Land & Nod. So that's some quick background for you on our brands. I want to talk to you today about how developing a culture of innovation at Crate & Barrel has helped us get through what has been the most troubling time for retailers in recent years, especially the houseware and home furnishing retailers. I will use some examples of what we have done, but keep in mind that what we're about to discuss is part of the evolution of a company. Not everyone has all the answers yet, but at least we're all starting to ask the right questions. Market forces have put pressure on our category in recent years. For starters, the housing market is still down. Second home purchases are down even more. People are saving those down payments for rainy days. And diamond engagement ring sales have been down in 2009 and 2010, which indicates a very challenging time for our wedding registry business. There are 2 tracks to how we look at managing our brand, especially through times like these. The first is relevance, where we ask the question, how relevant are we to our core and extended customers? The second is innovation, where we ask, what innovation should we focus on will give us the competitive advantage that we need? Let's talk about innovation first. Innovation for us is simple. Look at the customer life cycles and points of contact, and find ways to drive value to the customer through innovation in product, process, dialogue, or messaging. Let's start by looking at all the key touch points. This will give you an idea of how broadly we think about innovation. All retailers have a map like this. This one is ours. Our first set of touch points are grouped under what I call Connect. It includes local connections, digital connections, and social connections. Local is where we connect and create conversations with people in and around the store and our key retail areas. Digital is where we use traditional digital media to connect with our customers, like email or digital display advertising, And social is where we create opportunities for our loyal customers and advocates to talk about brands to other people, typically using elements of social media. The next set of touch points are grouped under what I call Inspire. This includes our store, our product, and our catalog. And finally, we group our next set of touch points under Convert. Because if you don't convert those customers and those buyers, it doesn't matter how much you connect or inspire. Our main mechanism for conversion are loyalty tools, offer strategy, and process design. I'm not going to talk too much about this bucket since this is a proprietary for most retailers. The second track, as I mentioned earlier, is about staying relevant. What is relevance? We are relevant at Crate & Barrel when we become one of the top 2 emotional choices for a customer who is shopping in our category. Staying relevant is hugely important to us or to any retailer. For us, it does 3 things. First, it increases the long-tail transactions from an individual customer. A bride who finds us relevant will register with us. A newly married couple who finds us relevant to their lifestyle will use us to furnish and appoint their first home together. And a couple who, having a child, will use our Land of Nod brand for the new addition to their family, and so on. Second, being emotionally relevant buys us time to respond to sudden competitive pressure, especially when it comes to pricing. Customers who are emotionally connected need more time to extricate themselves. That kind of time is invaluable to us. And third, as we talked about in the long tail example, being relevant significantly increases the total lifetime value of a customer. So what does this all mean for Crate & Barrel? First, it means that we have had to change our marketing approach. Buying great product and displaying it beautifully isn't enough anymore. We've had to evolve from marketing being primarily merchandising support to becoming a true game changer for us, which means that staying relevant and culturally integrated into our customers' lives doesn't happen just by being the product in their homes anymore. We have to work at integrating into specific life stages and specific lifestyles. And innovation can't be limited to design of product or design in our stores anymore. It means we have to innovate in everything. For Crate & Barrel, this is especially true in the area of marketing, which is where I want to show you a few examples today. First, let's talk about the marketing touch points. For the past few years, we've all been content with a marketing triad that consisted of advertising, direct marketing, and email. That is now changing very rapidly, and a new marketing triad is emerging. The new marketing triad is mobile, as you heard, social, and email. There are many indicators to this, and I'll share 3. 68% of companies now have a mobile version of their website. 32% of these mobile sites have the complete functionality of their full website. 66% of marketers are integrating social media with their email campaigns. And 75% of internet-connected homes now use social media. This new paradigm is shifting how we need to understand the value of a customer. At Crate & Barrel, we have begun to develop a model for this. We are all familiar with the traditional inputs to customer valuation. Profitability. How profitable is a customer? Frequency. How often does she purchase with us? Involvement. Is she involved? How much is she involved? But now we look at two additional measures, network influence and direct influence. Network influence is basically how large this customer's social network is and how often they communicate to that network. Someone who has 500 followers on Twitter who tweets, "Sale at Crate & Barrel this weekend only, I'm so excited," and then shops the sale, has a much higher value than someone who simply shops the sale without reaching out to her network. Direct influence is how often and well a customer interacts with our social media elements, like customer reviews, our Facebook page, and send-to-friend referrals. Now, that doesn't mean that tradition is dead. It just means that when we say 360-degree marketing, we have a few more stops along the way. Look, there's media. This includes print, our website, our Facebook page, digital advertising, emails, catalogs, and direct marketing. But then there's partnerships. This is where we form alliances with brands and properties that have the right brand DNA to align with us, like Martha said today. Retail. This includes all the in-store marketing that we do. There's PR and sponsorships. These are short-term, directed PR efforts that usually involve events, festivals, or even branded entertainment. We have promotions. We run dozens of these every year. Social strategy. This involves creating consumer conversations about our brand and tapping into the network influence that I just spoke about. There's local. This involves elements that empower individual stores to run their own marketing initiatives. And finally, the digital tools. These include emerging technology like tablets in our stores for associates or wedding registrants. Here are some examples of this type of integrated thinking. Here's an ad from last year's fall campaign. Seems like a nice, normal print ad, right? Not exactly. It was shot by Scott Schulman, known better as a Sartorialist who has 5 million readers on his blog. The picture is that of Cherry Blossom Girl, one of the most widely read fashion and lifestyle bloggers in the world, with over 3 million blog readers. They both blogged about the ad, as did their followers and readers. We took what could have been just a single print ad on the pages of Vanity Fair and gave it life outside of the medium. We did the same thing with the other 3 ads in the campaign. Here are some other ads that we did last fall. And it was the same response, the same impressions, reaching out, so it wasn't just traditionally print. Now this is fun. Take a look at this. Last year, we also experimented with a social media-driven strategy to improve our wedding and gift registry business. We want to go right next to Macy's. We launched the Ultimate Wedding Contest, where we gave away a $100,000 wedding to the couple with the most compelling entry in the contest. The winners would also get the services of one of the biggest celebrity wedding planners in the country, Joe Garten. Where did the social media aspect come in? First, around the same time as the contest, our celebrity wedding planner, Joe, was designing another big wedding, Jason and Molly's wedding, for the TV show The Bachelor. Now everybody, especially back there, knows that show. Next, in order to be even considered for judging, you had to do 3 things. Create a registry at Crate & Barrel, huge, answer 3 questions about yourself, and be one of the top 50 vote-getting couples. And you had 2 months to get your votes. Couples took to Facebook, Twitter, blogs, and even the streets. In fact, our winning couple set up a booth at Fisherman's Wharf in San Francisco to solicit votes. Very clever. One couple even tried to take over a David Letterman episode. I don't think that went over so big, no. The entries were fun and colorful and from all over the country. Let's take a look. Here are some pictures from the actual wedding that took place last October. Of course, they used Crate & Barrel product for all the table settings. How'd you like to have that paid for in Napa? We've now extended this idea of real couples into our general marketing and advertising for the wedding and gift registry. Take a look at this one video.
Come down, selector.
Those are real couples. So how did we do? In total, we ended up with 8,500 entries to the contest and about 600,000 individuals who voted for those couples. And we generated over 2 billion impressions overall in less than 90 days. As I said when I started this presentation, we are all in evolution. At Crate & Barrel, we have many other innovations in development that are getting ready for prime time. This fall, we will launch a comprehensive, multi-tiered, multi-channel loyalty program that will be one of the most relevant initiatives on the market. It will take into account network influence and integrate social media heavily. We will also be testing digital tablet tools like the iPad in our stores this year for both associates and customers. And because it is a vitally important channel, we are investing in new features and tools to improve our e-commerce experience for customers. All of this in the context of a true culture of innovation. A lot of what I have shared with you today is thinking that is still evolving. We don't expect to innovate and not make mistakes, as Mike said. The key for us is to learn from our mistakes, correct them, and find the right way forward. Innovation can be a messy business, but planning and preparation can make it worthwhile. We are living and working in one of the most exciting times for retail, technology, and commerce. The things we do today will be studied, talked about, and discussed for generations. As business leaders and future business leaders, it falls to us to make sure we're achieving the right balance of caution and experimentation, because somewhere in that balance lies our ultimate success. Thank you. Do I have questions? Now I know what everyone was saying before. You can't see them. So, come on, somebody has to ask a question about a 49-year-old brand that's still alive and kicking.
I was wondering why at the stores you ask for the name and an address and everything, and I don't get anything in the mail.
Oh, that's sort of like that other question that the back of the house needs improving. First of all, today with the privacy codes that are going on, particularly in California, and it's moving across the country, we are becoming very careful about what we ask and how we ask it. But for sure, if you want to be put on our mailing list, you just go in a store or online and you'll definitely start getting catalogs. Believe me, beautiful catalogs. I'll take your card today, actually.
Hey, Barbara.
Yes.
You knew you were going to get a question.
Make
Barbara,
it easy.
Yes, it is. No, by spending time with you, you've always talked about being a CEO, but also having to be the CMO. How do you balance that out, and what kind of priorities do you use to do that when you're on the road and working with your teams?
Oh, that's tough. Well, first of all, we grew up, the whole family of Crate & Barrel, which is now much bigger than, obviously, 20 years ago, but we grew up doing everything. So I was the chief merchant, and Gordon was the sort of business administrative side, but we both had the merchandising skills. And we all grew up, our little team of executives, doing the marketing and merchandising together. And I think in today's world, that's what's changing. The marketing role is the game changer because we still have to improve and have fantastic product. As Mike said, it all starts with the product, and I'm a firm, passionate believer as a merchant that you have to distinguish yourself and be unique, as Martha said as well. So product is the key. But today, marketing is the game changer, and actually we are in the process of reorganizing our marketing team as we speak. So I can no longer do both roles. To answer the question, Tom.
Hello? I'm wondering, I'm sure you looked carefully at that new restoration hardware catalog, which really went up market. What are your comments on that in this economy?
I'm thrilled. I think. I have to be diplomatic here. A huge risk, huge risk for the brand. It's from what I hear in the marketplace. Maybe it's working. I don't know if you're the investment banker if you think that, but in general, he distinguished himself away from the middle pack or the clutter that was in there, and we've been doing focus groups and. Not only in catalog, but certainly in surveys online about how do we stand out, and that's what I was saying about we really have to break through the clutter ourselves. I think going up market, now, you know, the luxury brands are doing really, really well. So going up market in the home limits and narrows your customer quite a bit, but, you know, he might pull it off. I personally think it's a really, really big risk. It's all beige, by the way. I hope he's not in the audience. He'll kill me.
Hello. I
Yes.
have one more question. I'm Jessica Marriott with Tantor Bags, and we bought for our kids Pottery Barn furniture for our kids because there was a store. And I know you guys are branching out and you are opening stores, but the thing is, you mentioned loyalty programs for your customers, and they didn't have that when we went. I mean, I have twins, so we furnished 2 bedrooms and they didn't have anything. So do you have something like that for Land of Nod for your customers?
When we introduce the program, which is being introduced in July, I'm passionate about making sure it goes across the 3 brands. For sure, it'll probably take another 6 months into 2012 to get all brands up and running across. But that value long-tail customer, you know, from the beginning when they're first getting married to the end when they're starting to have children is really valuable to us. So you've got to absolutely extend all your initiatives to all your brands. That's it? Oh, one more.
One more. I want to follow up on the restoration hardware catalog comment because you said something about risk and investment bankers. So my question to you has to do, and I'm not an investment banker, but I have a question relative to how do you balance taking the risk to break away from the pack and be different under the pressure of the returns?
Brilliant question, really brilliant, because I think retailers have to evolve, and they have to evolve in product and technology, and everything they're doing they have to keep on moving forward on. And you know, I'm a perfect example of being in the middle, looking backwards and knowing the history and trying to take the company forward. What I meant about the risk is in the case of Restoration Hardware, they went from, to me, a wider base, customer base, to a more narrow base, and probably distinguishing away or pulling away from Crate and Barrel and Pottery Barn, et cetera. So it might be a good strategy for them. What I meant by the risk there was the amount of money that was being spent on print in catalogs, you know, the traditional catalogs, and how we're being faced with the financial challenge of can you keep on sending more catalogs, especially in a time when those young people out there want sustainability and a more conscious effort to the environment. So I just meant it in the way of bigger books and lots more books going out there, and I don't know if that's going to work financially. I don't know if I answered the question, but that was sort of what I was trying to explain.
I had one more question here in the back. I was curious, you talked a little bit at the outset about some of the headwinds facing the industry.
I'm sorry, I can't understand
Can't hear
you.
me? Can you hear me now? Better?
Better.
Okay, I'll shout. You spoke a little bit at the outside of your presentation about some of the headwinds facing your industry, like new home sales and second home purchases. I was curious on your thoughts. Retail same-store sales were reported this morning, and home was a really strong area in many of those retailers. Bed Bath & Beyond just had a big number yesterday. Curious what you think is behind that big positive surge we've seen in recent weeks.
Now I know what Martha was saying because I don't understand the question. You were saying something about, I was saying home sales are down and second homes are still down even further. So you're asking me a question about a report that came out this morning?
No, let me try and rephrase it. The home goods sector has shown a lot of strength in recent weeks in terms of other companies that are in your space reporting really healthy sales and different metrics. I was just curious what you see as the underlying drivers behind some of the strength that we've seen in the home goods portion of retail in recent weeks.
I think I differ with you that I don't think there's strength in home sales. There's certainly a lot of change in, particularly throughout some of the hardest hit regions, that developers are buying and opt to lease out and things like that, but I definitely do not see home sales people are downsizing and moving into apartments and smaller homes, and the housing market is still pretty depressed. So
I think she was referring to the sales of goods within homes rather than real estate specifically.
So like Bed Bath & Beyond just did terrifically yesterday in terms of their announcement. So I'm just wondering, for home goods sales, housewares, those categories within department stores have been very strong. And what do you think, since home sales, as you just said, are weak, what's driving that?
Well, I think that when you get to Bed & Bath or some of the department stores, in the accessories, like bed linens and some of the things that were pointed out today, that is a lot easier purchased, and as you freshen up with a pillow or bed linens or things like that. I'm talking about furniture, and in the last 10 years, we grew our business based on a furniture growth of furniture, actual solid wood dining tables and sofas that are $1,800. So I'm specifically relating to furniture, and that's why I was saying to you today that we need to be a home furnishings as well as a furniture company, and not because we never had a downturn in the marketplace like we did this last couple of years. So it really affected our furniture sales, which affected our entire Crate & Barrel.
Barbara, I have a question about the wedding business, and it would appear to me, as somewhat of an outsider, that there is an enormous potential still that exists in that category of business, with so many other retailers beginning to open up, as Nordstrom and Anthropologie and Urban Outfitters, the whole bridal salon. And as a mother of the groom-to-be who registered with her future daughter-in-law, her customer experience was the best at Bloomingdale's. And I give you that feedback because she also registered at Crate & Barrel, but we had to go back and redo it because there just seems to be an opportunity to separate that business and make it more important to the bride.
Without question. We just appointed in each of our stores a bridal coordinator, and we're going to make appointments more and do live chats, and I think the bride needs to be treated like a queen. We have wedding party, engagement parties in the early spring, and we really, really want to go overboard to that bride. And give her what she wants, and really make it a tremendous experience for them, because that's really the beginning of our experience in an integrated way. And there's a lot of competition out there, and I think when you look at the top 3 registers, somebody mentioned Bed and Bath, that discount, that card that they send is very tough coming up against, because someone going to the wedding is going to buy a machine that may have that coupon with them. But we believe in the bridal business in full force and are doing everything we possibly can to make it a better experience for the bride, and then follow that bride. One of the things we're talking about is giving experiences at their anniversary in gift cards and things like that to really track that bride. But it's a wonderful business, and we got a lot of competition out there. Okay, I think I'm going now.